Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Trash Picture Show. Guys, I am back with another figure I picked up while I was in Dublin. This is the Mattel He-Man Masters of the Universe Mantenna, and this is the cartoon collection. Now, it says He-Man Masters of the Universe, but Mantenna was actually a villain in She-Ra. Yes, She-Ra Princess of Power was the follow-on series from He-Man. It was developed by Filmation, and it focused on Prince Adam's sister and He-Man's sister, She-Ra, and she fought a far more impressive rogues gallery. Now, I'm not pissing on fucking Skeletor's crew. The Evil Warriors were pretty badass, but there was something about the Horde that just fucking kicked arse. And yeah, I had a couple of these guys growing up. I had the original version of Mantenna, and I also had Leech. I had none of the good guys, but if you want to check out a really cool collection of the heroes from She-Ra, go check out my gorgeous girlfriend Jen's Instagram page. She found a kick-ass, and I do mean kick-ass, She-Ra castle with a bunch of figures and accessories, and it showcases all the good guys, and it is an absolutely kick-arse collection she found in the thrifties. But I digress. As I was saying before, I had none of the good guys, but I did have Leech. Now, the version of Leech I had was a lot more scary and a lot more badass than this guy. This guy, it's from the cartoon collection, so they designed him to look more like his cartoon counterpart. And yeah, in some ways, it's not as cool as the original figure, but in one way, it does have an advantage, because the original Mantenna had essentially his 4 legs bolted together, while this guy has 4 separate legs. We'll have a closer look at that out of the box, but I do have to say the packaging is pretty cool. You have the logo here to show 40 years of She-Ra at the top. You have Hordak's kind of gaze menacingly looking over Grayskull. You have the He-Man Masters Universe logo, Mantenna going down, and you have the cartoon collection. Just flipping it to the back here, and you have a picture of Mantenna blowing bubbles while he's been fucked with by Shadow Weaver and Hordak. And you have Masters of the Universe Princess of Power. You have the same kind of gimmick the original figure did, although his eyes kind of shot upwards rather than forwards, and it just shows that he has 4 separate legs. In the cartoon collection, you have She-Ra, you have Ram Man, you have Mantenna. The other figures in this collection as well, I saw them up in Dublin, was Many-Faces and Hordak. And yeah, they were going pretty cheap. I'm regretting not picking up the other ones. But yeah, guys, I digress. I'm going to have to sadly crack this packaging open. It is really nice box art. So I'm going to try and carefully open the packaging and take Mantenna out, and we'll have a closer look at the figure. Don't go anywhere. I shall be right back. And we are back, and here is Mantenna out of the packaging. So first off, he doesn't come with any accessories. The only accessory he comes with is this comic. And yeah, they've changed the artist for the mini comics, and it's all right, but it's not as good as the original art for the first Origin comics that were released. It's good, but I just prefer the kind of grainier art style of those first wave of Origin comics. But one thing I will say is at least they've actually added dialogue to these later comics, because to kind of skirt around language barriers, they didn't add any kind of English dialogue or word bubbles to the international releases of the figures, so you just got essentially picture books. But yeah, it's cool, it's alright, but as I said before, I prefer the artwork in the first wave of Mewtwo Origins comics. But yeah, enough about the comic, let's have a look at the figure. So here is Mantenna out of the box, and as I said before, this guy is radically different from his original release. The original Mantenna was a lot more scary. Well, for a kid he was a lot more scary, and he was a lot more kind of sinewy and monstery, while this guy is definitely more cartoony, which the line says it's going for. It's going for a more cartoon aesthetic. So yeah, here is Mantenna out of the box. I do like the colouring and paint scheme on this guy. Again, it's bright, it's vibrant, it's to try and capture the look of the cartoon, and it pops. I can't fault at that. You have the hoard symbol on his chest there. Nice blue and purple. And yeah, the color really breaks up the figure. You have a button here at the back. I'll show you that in a minute. That's his kind of action feature. And going down, you have his 4 legs. Now, as I said before, this guy has one advantage over the original Mantenna, as in he has 4 separate legs. That original Mantenna was badass looking. He was kind of scary for a kid's toy. But one issue I always had was his 4 legs were essentially bolted together to make 2 legs. I'm guessing they didn't have the tooling or the mechanics to make 4 separate sprues. And obviously they didn't want to try and make a whole new mold to suit that. Back in the day, they wanted to try and just pump out as many figures as they could. So they just reused the same mold. And that would have required to have made a new kind of lower torso section. But this guy has 4 separate legs. And that's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. That is something the original Mantenna figure did not have. And in that original series, I always got the feeling Mantenna was supposed to be some form of arachnid. So that makes sense. He was always kind of this scuttly, kind of cowardly creature that had spider-like tendencies. And yeah, he had one power. He could hypnotize people with his eyes. Now, the original had the same kind of feature. His eyes would pop out, but they would shoot upwards rather than forwards. While this guy, the button on the back of his head here, makes his eyes pop out. And that's how he's supposed to hypnotize his enemies. So yeah. Again, he was kind of like a Starscream kind of character back in the day. He was this coward. He'd suck up to Hordak, but then when things had turned bad, he'd fuck off. He wouldn't like getting in a fight. I think She-Ra actually had to save him on one occasion. But yeah, he's a cool character. I like him. I do like this design, but it doesn't hold a candle to the original. I just love those original Horde figures. They were badass. From Hordak to Leech to Modulok, they all kicked arse, and the original Mantenna was no exception. This guy, as I said before, he's pretty cool, but he's definitely obviously in the vein of the cartoon design. But yeah guys, I'm going to pause the video here, and when I come back, we'll compare this guy to some other figures. So don't go anywhere, I shall be right back. And we are back, and there is Mantenna in my kind of castle slash dungeon diorama. And let's compare him to another Horde member from the Origins line. Let's compare him to Mosquitor. So let's put him next to this chap. And yeah, that's really cool. Again, the vibrant colors make him pop and make him work really well together. And he does kick ass. As I said before, doesn't hold a candle to the original Mantenna, but just really nice kind of vibrant design. For nostalgia's sake, let's compare him to my one surviving Horde figure. Let's compare him to my original Leech. And yeah, again, they do mix and match. He kicks arse. I like this original Leech. I mean, this guy kicked arse. Look at that face. Look at that maw. That was a scary fucking thing. I love the original Horde figures. They were so fucking intimidating and scary. But yeah, you could work side by side with him. But just the symbol and everything just looks way more kick-ass than this one. Again, I get it, they're going for the cartoon aesthetic, but there's just something about this original design. Everything about these figures kicked arse. And so, I'm not accused of gender bias. Let's compare him to a female character, Evelyn, from the Origins wave. And yeah, that's pretty cool too. Scales up really well. But yeah, all in all guys, I like this guy. He's a cool design. They really did push the whole animated look, and it works. But it could be member berries. I just prefer my original Mantenna. That said, I do like the fact that they separated the legs into 4 different limbs. That is one thing I will give the Origins line. That they finally gave him 4 separate legs. Because yeah, again, that was a mainstay of the character. He was this spidery, scuttly kind of creature. And while my original guy was badass, I always yearned for a Mantenna with 4 separate legs. But yeah guys, did you grow up with the original Mantenna? If you did, let me know in the comments below. And would you pick up this guy? Let me know that in the comments below as well. My name's Martin. This has been the Trash Picture Show, and yeah, have a good one. Take care. Bye now.